How's it going, my peeps? It is now time for the Raw results / highlights video and review. I'll go over the results, give you guys my thoughts on the show. So the show kicks off with John Cena. He gets to the ring, cuts a promo, talks about it's good to be back. Although it's only been a week, but he says that week felt like a year. He goes on to talk about how him not being there made him realize what's going on, that the tag team champions are crazy, that you've got a problem with the Divas division, Eve and, Kaitlyn and stuff like that, and Cesaro has big nipples. Yes, he actually did say that. And eventually goes on to talk about CM Punk and how CM Punk should, accept this challenge for Hell in a Cell. And that's pretty much it. And then he actually leaves the ring. Nobody interrupts him or anything, it's been a while. I don't think I remember the last time somebody could just cut a promo without somebody interrupting them. Anyways, after he cuts the promo and his music hits, he gets out of the ring, and then Ryback's music hits, and he comes out. There's no talk between the two or anything. They just look at each other for a moment, and then Ryback moves to the ring where he waits for his opponent, Epico and Primo, in a handicap match, 2-on-1. They don't need to tag each other in. They're both in the ring at the same time. They get some good offense on Ryback, take him down a couple times. At some point, I think Epico hits a missile drop kick, while Primo takes Ryback down with a backstabber or back cracker or whatever it's called now at the same time. It looked like Primo was going for the pinfall, but Epico started stomping on Ryback, so I guess Primo just joined and started stomping on him too instead of going for the pinfall. And Ryback wins the match actually by picking both guys up for his finisher. And then we get Brodus Clay versus R-Truth, or was supposed to get it. Brodus Clay comes out, R-Truth is out. And R-Truth gets the microphone and seems like he's talking with little Jimmy. And then he talks to Brodus Clay and says, "Sorry, I can fight you whenever, but it seems right now little Jim's going through some changes." He says he's going through puberty, and that little Jim would like to dance tonight instead, so they all dance instead of actually having a match. And then you get Vince McMahon on the Titantron, and he tells them to dance out of the ring because he's gonna give his state of the WWE address once they come back from commercial break. So after commercial break, we get Vince McMahon coming out. And he starts talking about, how they've got dancers like Brodus Clay and stuff like that. They've got monsters like Kane. And, he goes on about the different characters and stuff that happens in the WWE. And he says there's place for all of that. There's especially place for action. And he wants to talk about action. And then CM Punk comes out and interrupts Vince McMahon, and they have a great segment, a great promo. And actually the reason why CM Punk came out to interrupt Vince McMahon is because right before CM Punk came out, Vince McMahon said, it's all about action, it's all about the best facing off against the best. So then CM Punk came out at that time, and CM Punk said, you don't think I knew that was a dig at me for not wanting to face John Cena Hell in a Cell. So they go back and forth. Well, it's mostly CM Punk actually talking the whole time, running down Vince McMahon and stuff like that. And Vince McMahon says, you're disrespecting me by interrupting me. CM Punk talks about disrespect. And CM Punk asks Vince McMahon if Vince McMahon respects him. Vince McMahon says he respects the fact that CM Punk has held on to the championship this long, 300 and so days. But says he doesn't respect the fact that that CM Punk is a Paul Heyman guy, and that he himself is not a CM Punk guy. And then CM Punk says, I know you're not a CM Punk guy, and Vince McMahon eventually says, you're not in the caliber or whatever. You're nowhere near Shawn Michaels or Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that. And CM Punk says, yeah, I'm not like those. Instead of those guys, I worked my way to the top with hard work and never backing down from a fight and stuff like that. Towards the end, CM Punk is like, Vince McMahon, you've been slapping me around for years. And then he slaps Vince McMahon right across the face. Vince McMahon falls. And then he gets out of the ring. And Vince McMahon gets up all angry. He gets on the microphone and says, I want to fire you right now, but that'd be too easy. So I will fire you if you do not face me tonight in the ring. So I guess our main event tonight is CM Punk versus Vince McMahon. Paul Heyman kind of seemed worried, at the ramp on the stage with CM Punk. But CM Punk reassured Paul Heyman, saying, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. And then afterwards, we get a semifinal match of the tag team tournament. It's Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara versus the Primetime Players. Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara pick up the victory after Rey Mysterio hits a 619, followed by a top rope body splash onto Darren Young. And then we get a backstage segment with CM Punk and Paul Heyman, with Paul Heyman still worried. CM Punk saying he's got it under control. Paul Heyman says, but it's like a no-win situation. What happens after he beats Vince McMahon? You're going to get this billionaire trying to make their life miserable 7 days of the week, 24/7. And CM Punk just tells him to not worry about it, and he'll take care of it. He'll find a way to win, of course. And then we had Sheamus versus Wade Barrett. Good match between the two. And eventually, Tensai comes out and starts attacking Sheamus, so it ends in a disqualification. Him and Wade Barrett start stomping on Sheamus, and Wade Barrett holds him up for Tensai to go for some type of running move, but Sheamus gets out of Barrett's hold and hits a bro kick on Tensai, and then takes Wade Barrett out of the ring. And while Sheamus does that and has his back turned, Big Show gets inside the ring, and he's about to hit the knockout punch on Sheamus. But once Sheamus turns around, he sees Big Show and goes for the bro kick, but Big Show blocks the kick and then just throws Sheamus outside the ring. After the match, JR gets out of his announcer's chair, commentary chair, and says he's going to talk to Vince McMahon about the match tonight. And then we get AJ and CM Punk backstage, where CM Punk's kind of telling her, are you sure you want to have this match on your show? Because I'm going to break his legs, his fingers, blah, blah, blah. He's going to be in a wheelchair. She says, I knew you were afraid of John Cena, but you're also afraid of Vince McMahon now. He says no, but whatever happens tonight will be all her fault for, letting this match happen. And then we had Antonio Cesaro versus Tyson Kidd in a one-on-one title match. Before the actual match, they showed a video of Antonio Cesaro kind of ordering food, I guess. He's making fun of the Americans and making fun of their growing obesity rates. So when the guy serves him the food, Antonio Cesaro kind of looks at it and says disgusting, and then he leaves, and then the guy serving him the food kind of looks, left and right, sees that nobody's looking, and starts eating that food. And then, as far as the actual matchup, Antonio Cesaro wins the match in a quick little match between the two, and Antonio Cesaro hit that badass uppercut he does, and then hit the neutralizer for the victory. Anyways, the next match was Team Hell No, Kane and Daniel Bryan versus Del Rio and Dolph Ziggler. This was a great tag team match between the two teams. Kane and Daniel Bryan win after Kane hits a choke slam on Dolph Ziggler for the pinfall victory. After that, we get a backstage segment with JR and Vince McMahon. JR trying to convince Vince not to, get into this matchup with CM Punk. He tells him, you've got nothing to gain out of this match, and he thinks it's a mistake and stuff like that. And Vince McMahon kind of ignores that and tells JR, could you call the match like, you used to call those Stone Cold Steve Austin matches and yell, McMahon, 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 just like he used to say Stone Cold, Stone Cold, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm talking about. So, JR says, well, if you insist on having the matchup, then he'll do his best. Vince McMahon says he's kind of impatient. He'd like to hear JR do it right now. So JR starts, yelling, McMahon, 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 says his famous line, slobber knocker, government mule, and all that stuff. And that's it for that segment. And then later on, we get Larry the King actually live doing a Larry the King show. And his guest is the IC champion, The Miz. The Miz comes out, and then he talks about how it's his birthday. Larry the King says nobody cares that it's his birthday, and that he's going to replace him with a much more entertaining guest. And then he brings out Kofi Kingston. The Miz gets mad at that and starts poking fun at Larry the King and Kofi Kingston, saying that Larry the King is a has-been and Kofi Kingston is a never was. Eventually, Larry the King's wife throws water on the Miz's face. Miz starts to take off his suit, and then Kofi Kingston attacks him. And Larry the King and his wife just leave Kofi Kingston attacking the Miz. Kofi Kingston throws the Miz off the stage and then jumps on top of him with a jumping clothesline. and they start brawling, towards the backstage area. And then after that, we got another tag team match, another semi-final tag team match for the tournament. It's Team Rhodes Scholars, Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow, versus the team of Zack, Ryder, and Santino. The team of Rhodes and Damien Sandow end up pointing after Cody gets a pinfall on Santino. So then they announced that the finals will be Rhodes Scholars versus Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara on next week's Raw. After Damien Sandow and Rhodes get out of the ring, you get Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal, and Heath Slater rushing into the ring and attacking Santino once again. And then Heath Slater's music hits. And then we had a backstage segment with Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon. Paul Heyman is apologizing for CM Punk's actions. And he tries to get Vince McMahon to back out of the matchup, but Vince McMahon insists that he's going to compete in the match. And then in the end, Paul Heyman tells him that CM Punk might do to him what Brock Lesnar did to his son-in-law, Triple H. And then we actually get a Divas title match. It's Eve versus Kaitlyn. And Eve wins the match with a leg lock submission hold on Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn taps out. Layla was on commentary, just like she's been for the past couple of weeks for some reason. And then, after the match, Eve still had the leg lock locked in. She didn't want to let go. So Layla gets in the ring, and Eve lets go of the hold. And then Eve tries to look like she's concerned for Kaitlyn, although she, did hold on to the hold after the match was over. Layla pushes her, and then Eve just gets out of the ring. After that, we get a backstage segment with Del Rio and Ricardo. They're walking backstage, talking. And then Josh Matthews comes up to Del Rio and tells him about a tweet that Randy Orton tweeted out, saying that he's going to be on SmackDown this week. And what Del Rio feels about that, considering Del Rio attacked him on SmackDown a couple weeks back. Del Rio just leaves and looks kind of concerned. Then they skip to Larry the King and his wife walking backstage, and they have this segment with Daniel Bryan and Kane and Larry the King. Pretty funny segment. Afterwards, we get another backstage segment with CM Punk and Paul Heyman still talking about the match tonight and how CM Punk's gonna beat Vince McMahon down so bad. Then you get the actual matchup, Vince McMahon versus CM Punk. Vince McMahon comes out first, and CM Punk attacks him from behind during his entrance. It's a pretty, it's a pretty entertaining brawl between the two. The match never started. They fought outside, inside. They used kendo sticks, and Vince McMahon actually got, it seems like he got busted open, next to his eye. And CM Punk was about to hit the GTS on Vince McMahon, but Ryback's music hits, and he comes out, he goes to the ring, and it seems like CM Punk is actually going to fight him this time, but no, he ditches the ring, gets out of the ring, and he's about to leave, but John Cena throws him back in the ring where Ryback clotheslines CM Punk, and then CM Punk rolls out the ring and runs away in the crowd area with his championship. Vince McMahon then gets on the microphone and says, "You're going to have to make a choice now, and hopefully you learn something about respect, but you're going to have to make a choice for Hell in a Cell. You're going to have to choose who your opponent's going to be. You either choose Ryback or John Cena, and if you can't decide by next week, then Vince McMahon will make that decision for him." And that ends the show. It ends with CM Punk, looking shocked or concerned. Anyways, as far as Raw tonight, it was a freaking great Raw. I really enjoyed Raw tonight, so I guess a thumbs up on the show, or 2 thumbs up even. Great show. Really liked the matches, liked the segments. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can click that like button down below. I'd really appreciate that. With that said, I'm out. See ya.